Rain hammered against the roof of the luxury event center in Lagos, as if the sky itself was warning everyone to go home.
Amara, where is Daniel? Nobody knows. Stop joking. I'm serious.
Everything looked exactly as it should. Everything except one thing. The groom is missing.
Hello?
Don't marry him.
Oh my God! I'm so sorry.
No problem. You owe me coffee.
Excuse me?
You attacked my documents.
Fine, coffee, 1 cup, that's all.
We'll see about that.
The months that followed felt almost unreal. Daniel seemed perfect. He was thoughtful, patient, successful, and kind. Every day brought a new reason for Amara to love him. They spent evenings walking along the beach. They talked for hours on the phone. They learnt each other's dreams, fears, and ambitions.
Do you believe people can be destined for each other?
Only in movies.
Maybe we're a movie. Marry me.
Yes.
The mysterious man stepped into a luxury apartment and tossed his keys onto a table, picked up his phone, and opened social media. Daniel and Amara engaged. He zoomed in on Amara's face and stared at it, then he whispered,
It should have been me.
He locked the phone and lowered it slowly. A dark anger settled in his eyes. Across the room, an old photograph hung on the wall. 2 young boys stood side by side, identical twins, Daniel and David.
The wedding preparations are moving too fast.
We're happy. Maybe she's marrying the wrong brother. What did you say? Relax. It's a joke. Enough! One day the truth will come out.
The event planner is doing a good job.
Yes, she is. Promise me something.
Anything.
No disappearing after we're married.
Never.
You just left with him. What? About 20 minutes ago. That's impossible. I've been shopping all afternoon. I literally saw you both leave together.
The next day, Amara drives home after work. Traffic is heavy. As she waits at a junction, she notices a black SUV parked across the road. Finally, she turns sharply into a crowded fuel station. The SUV stops. The moment, the driver steps out. Amara catches a glimpse. The man looks exactly
Daniel?
like Daniel. But Daniel
He's
is
in
currently in
Abuja.
Abuja on a business trip. The SUV drives away.
Hello?
Amara,
Daniel?
be careful.
Where are you?
You don't know who you're marrying. Baby?
Were you just calling me?
No.
Stop joking.
Amara, I've been in a meeting for 2 hours.
What are you doing here?
Daniel has a twin brother?
It's complicated.
Why didn't he tell me?
Because some things are better left in the past.
Past?
Please stop asking questions.
Why is he standing there? Daniel? No, not Daniel.
Hello, Amara.
Who are you?
My name is David. I suppose Daniel never told you about.
Why?
Because Daniel prefers people to forget I exist.
That's not true.
Isn't it? You need this.
What's inside?
The truth.
What truth?
Ask Daniel why he really wants to marry you.
What does that mean?
Amara? What happened?
Who is David?
You met him.
You lied to me. Never told me you had an identical twin.
Because he hasn't been part of my life for years.
That's not an answer.
David is dangerous.
Dangerous how?
He likes ruining things.
Including our wedding? What aren't you telling me?
Some family wounds should stay buried.
Not when I'm about to marry into that family.
That night, unable to sleep, Amara visits Aisha. Together, they examine the newspaper clipping. Aisha notices something. Look closely. Aisha says. Amara leans in.
Daniel told me he only had one sibling. Then why hide another brother?
The following evening, Amara receives a text. Unknown number. If you want answers, come alone.
Who is Michael?
Our little brother.
What happened to him?
Officially, boat accidents.
And unofficially?
Someone lied that day.
Who? Daniel. No.
You don't know him.
And I know you?
Fair point. The day Michael disappeared, Daniel was the last person who saw him alive.
2 weeks before the wedding, Amara decides to do something she never thought she would do. She hires a private investigator.
I checked Daniel's movements for the past 6 months.
And?
There are 2 problems.
What problems?
First,
Somebody has been impersonating Daniel. This can't be real.
There's more.
No.
David knew who you were long before you met Daniel. Whoever hired me just transferred 5 million naira.
Who? Daniel Adeyemi?
The next day, Amara couldn't stop thinking about the photograph. The image of David standing behind her 3 years ago replayed endlessly in her mind. By afternoon, she had arranged another meeting. This time, she wanted answers. They met at a quiet rooftop cafe. David arrived exactly on time. "How long have you known me?" Amara asked. A sad smile crossed his face. 3 years. Amara stared at him. "That's impossible." David pulled out his phone and began scrolling through photos. They weren't hidden pictures. They were all public. Business events, fashion exhibitions, charity functions, and social media posts Amara had uploaded herself. "I noticed you before Daniel did," David said quietly. Amara's heart began to race. "Why?" He gave a soft laugh. "Because you were different." "Different how?" "You looked happy." The answer felt strangely honest and strangely sad. "Why didn't you approach me?" David's eyes darkened. "Because Daniel got there fast." A heavy silence settled between them, a dangerous silence. That evening, Amara visited Aisha. They continued digging into the Adeyemi family. Aisha discovered something unusual. A woman named Nneka Eze. 4 years earlier, Daniel had been engaged to her. Then, without warning, she disappeared from public life. No wedding, no explanation, nothing. The next day, Amara tracked her down in a small town outside Lagos. Nneka lived quietly and avoided attention. At first, she refused to speak. But the moment Amara mentioned Daniel, the color drained from her face. "Leave that family alone." "Why?" Amara asked. "Because I almost lost my mind." Amara froze. "What happened?" Nneka looked terrified. "I started noticing things. Different habits, different memories, different personalities." She leaned forward. "One day, he loved coffee. The next day, he hated it. One day, he remembered the conversation. The next day, he didn't." Amara felt her breathing become shallow. The same things had been happening recently. "I started asking questions," Nneka continued. "Big mistake. What did you find?" Nneka lowered her voice to a whisper. "Sometimes I wasn't speaking to Daniel." 3 days before the wedding, Daniel called Amara. "We need to talk, urgently." His voice sounded tense. They agreed to meet. Daniel never arrived. Hours passed. Then Amara received a call from an unknown number. A hospital. Daniel had been involved in a serious car accident. She rushed there immediately. Doctors were treating him. His injuries weren't life-threatening. He remained unconscious. Mrs. Adeyemi was already there, crying. Chief Adeyemi wasn't crying. He looked furious, as though something much bigger was happening. Then Amara noticed David, standing at the far end of the hallway, watching. Their eyes met. For a brief second, she saw fear in his face. Real fear. Later that night, the hospital had gone quiet. Amara sat beside Daniel's bed as the machines beeped steadily around him. Suddenly, his eyes opened. "Daniel!" He grabbed her wrist. Hard. Much harder than she expected. "Listen carefully." "You're okay." "No, listen." His eyes darted toward the door, as if someone might be listening. "If anything happens to me, promise me." Tears filled Amara's eyes. "Promise you what?" His voice dropped to a whisper. "Don't trust anyone." Especially. The door opened. Mrs. Adeyemi entered. Daniel stopped speaking instantly. His expression changed. Pure fear. Amara realized something deeply disturbing. Daniel seemed afraid of his own mother. 2 days before the wedding, Daniel was discharged from the hospital. At first, everything seemed normal. Then he disappeared. Again, his phone was switched off. His office hadn't seen him. His friends had no idea where he was. No one could find him. Not even his family. Amara became frantic. She called everyone she could think of, but every lead ended the same way, with silence. Hours later, a package arrived at her apartment. There was no return address. Inside was a flash drive. With trembling hands, she plugged it into her laptop. A grainy video appeared on the screen. It looked old. A family birthday party. 3 boys ran around laughing. Daniel, David, and Michael, the missing brother. The camera shook as adults chatted in the background. Children screamed with excitement. Then the mood changed. An argument broke out. Young Daniel and Michael wandered toward a dock near the water. Recording suddenly cut off. But just before the screen went black, a terrified child's voice could be heard shouting, "Please help him!" The video ended. Amara sat frozen. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. For several seconds, all she heard was heavy breathing and a whisper. A male voice she recognized instantly. "If you marry him, you will regret it." The call ended. The wedding was less than 48 hours away, and Daniel Adeyemi was still missing. Wedding day arrived. The luxury event center sparkled with decorations. Guests traveled from across Nigeria. Music filled the air as photographers moved through the crowd, capturing every moment. But one question lingered everywhere. Where was Daniel. Inside the bridal suite, Amara tried to stay calm. Aisha entered. Still nothing? Amara shook her head. No calls, no messages, no Daniel. Then her phone vibrated. A text message. Just one sentence. Don't let them force you. No sender. Amara stood immediately. Force me to do what? There was no reply. 5 minutes before the ceremony, panic spread through the venue. Guests whispered. Family members rushed around. Then a black SUV pulled into the compound. Every head turned. The driver's door opened. Daniel stepped out. Or at least, it appeared to be Daniel. Relief swept through the crowd. Mrs. Adeyemi nearly collapsed with relief. Chief Adeyemi hurried towards him. The two exchanged a strange look, one that said more than words ever could. When Amara finally reached him, she threw her arms around him.
Where have you been?
I'm here now.
The wedding proceeded. Guests celebrated, but unease settled deep inside her. Small things felt wrong. During photographs, he forgot the name of her favorite cousin. At lunch, he asked for a drink he had always hated. At the reception, he told a story incorrectly, a story Daniel had told her dozens of times. Each mistake was tiny. Together, they formed a terrifying picture. Later, during a private moment, Amara decided to test him.
Do you remember our first date?
Of course.
What color was my dress?
Blue.
During the reception, an elderly woman approached Amara. A distant relative she barely knew. The woman gripped her hand tightly, almost desperately.
Listen carefully.
Excuse me?
I watched those boys grow up, and you're standing beside the wrong one.
What?
Daniel has a scar behind his left ear. Since childhood. Check for yourself.
That night, the newlyweds arrived at a luxurious beachfront resort. The celebration was finally over. Inside the honeymoon suite, the atmosphere felt strange. The man she had married seemed restless, watching her constantly as if waiting for something. Later, while he showered, the elderly woman's warning returned to her mind. Her hands trembled. When he emerged from the bathroom, his hair was still damp. Carefully, Amara looked behind his left ear. Nothing. No scar. No mark. No childhood injury. The blood drained from her face. The room suddenly felt smaller, harder to breathe. The man noticed her expression. What's wrong? Amara couldn't answer. The realization hit her all at once. The man she had married, the man everyone believed was Daniel, was not Daniel. It was David. At that exact moment, his phone vibrated. A message flashed across the screen. Amara saw it before he could hide it. Is she suspicious yet? Her heart stopped. David grabbed the phone. Too late. He knew she had seen it. She knew he knew. The room fell silent. Dangerously silent. Neither spoke, but both understood that everything had changed. Outside the resort, hidden in the darkness, a man watched the building from a distance. A man with a scar behind his left ear. Daniel, alive. Inside the honeymoon suite, silence stretched between Amara and David. Finally, Amara broke the silence. How long? David closed his eyes. He already knew what she meant. You know. How long have you been pretending to be Daniel? He slowly turned to face her since the wedding. Why? A bitter laugh escaped him. Because Daniel asked me to. Amara stared at him. The answer made no sense. Stop lying. I wish I was. Daniel would never do this. A shadow crossed David's face. You still don't know him. He pulled out his phone and opened a message. One sender, Daniel. Amara read the words herself. Protect her until I come back. Her hands began to shake. The message was real. David reached into his pocket and handed her a flash drive. Told me to give this to you if things went wrong. Amara inserted it into her laptop. A video appeared. Daniel stared into the camera. He looked exhausted, fearful, as though he hadn't slept in days. Amara, if you are watching this, then everything has gone wrong. Tears filled her eyes. I know what you are thinking. You are wondering why David is pretending to be me. Daniel paused. The answer is simple. Because somebody wants me dead. The room fell silent. And the person trying to kill me is someone inside my own family. Amara felt her chest tighten. I discovered something about Michael. Something my parents have hidden for 20 years. His expression darkened. If I disappear, trust David, not them. The video abruptly ended. Someone had deliberately cut off the rest. The next morning, David secretly drove Amara to an abandoned property outside Lagos. A safe house. Inside, someone was waiting. Daniel, alive. For several seconds, Amara couldn't move, couldn't think. Then she slapped him hard. You let me marry your brother. Daniel didn't defend himself. I know. Do you know what that did to me? Yes. And why? For the first time, the confident businessman looked completely broken. Because if I didn't disappear, we'd both be dead. The room went silent. David looked away. Daniel took a deep breath. Someone tried to kill me twice. The car accident wasn't an accident. Amara's anger slowly gave way to fear. Who? Daniel hesitated before answering. My father. The words hit like a bomb. Your father? He nodded. Then he revealed a secret buried for decades. 20 years earlier, The Adeyemi family had been drowning in debt. Chief Adeyemi's businesses were failing, and he was desperate. Then, a wealthy uncle died unexpectedly. The inheritance should have gone to his favorite nephew, Michael. Not Daniel, not David. Michael. Amara felt sick.
Michael inherited everything?
Yes, our father discovered it first. If Michael grew up, he would control everything.
So what happened?
Michael disappeared. Officially, he drowned. Unofficially, our father made sure Michael never came home.
Hours later, the three of them sat together reviewing old records Daniel had collected while hiding. Photographs, bank statements, inheritance files. Every document pointed toward the same horrifying conclusion. Chief Adeyemi had benefited from Michael's disappearance. Then Amara noticed something strange. The birth certificate. Then another and another. Something didn't match. The dates, the hospital records, the names. Her heart skipped a beat. Daniel, David, come look at this. The brothers moved closer. The room became very quiet. David was the first to speak. No. Daniel stared at the document in disbelief because they revealed something impossible. The twins weren't twins, at least not biologically. One of them had been adopted. Everything they believed about themselves suddenly began to collapse. And Amara discovered a handwritten note hidden among the files. A note signed by Mrs. Adeyemi decades earlier. Her voice trembled as she read it aloud. If the truth ever comes out, tell Daniel who he really is. Daniel stared at the words, his entire world shifting beneath his feet. But the biggest secret was still waiting to be revealed. Late that night, Daniel, David, and Amara confronted Mrs. Adeyemi at the family mansion. The once powerful woman looked exhausted. Years of fear had finally caught up with her. Daniel placed the note in front of her. Tell me who I am. Her hands began to shake. She said nothing. David slammed his fist onto the table. Enough lies. For the first time in years, Mrs. Adeyemi broke down completely. I was trying to protect you. From what? Daniel demanded. The woman looked directly at him, then whispered the words that changed everything. You are not my son. Daniel froze. Amara's eyes widened. Even David looked stunned. Mrs. Adeyemi struggled to steady her breathing. You are not David's twin. Never were. Luckily, nobody noticed because you both grew up looking alike. Then the truth finally came out. 30 years earlier, Mrs. Adeyemi had given birth to only one child, David. On that same night, another woman died during childbirth. A poor woman with no surviving family. Her baby would have been sent away. That baby was Daniel. Mrs. Adeyemi secretly adopted him. Only Chief Adeyemi knew. The family pretended the boys were twins. The secret was never meant to be discovered. Daniel sat motionless. Everything he believed about himself was gone. Then Amara asked the question no one wanted to ask. Does that mean Michael wasn't your brother? Mrs. Adeyemi slowly nodded. Michael was our biological son, David's real brother, not Daniel's. A heavy silence followed. Suddenly, years of tension and favoritism began to make sense. But an even darker truth was still waiting to be exposed. Mrs. Adeyemi wiped her tears and stared at the floor. There is something else you need to know. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. 20 years earlier, Michael had discovered something by accident. He overheard a conversation about the family inheritance. A fortune worth millions. And it all belonged to him. Excited, Michael shared the news with Daniel, then with David. The boys thought it was a wonderful secret. Their father did not. The very next day, the family went boating. Chief Adeyemi took all 3 boys out on the water. Only 2 came back. Mrs. Adeyemi began crying again. Michael didn't drown. The words struck the room like lightning. Daniel had suspected it for years, but hearing it spoken aloud was different. What happened? Amara whispered. Mrs. Adeyemi covered her face. Your father pushed him. David stumbled backward and collapsed into a chair. His face had gone pale. Fragments of memory suddenly rushed back. A scream, splashing water, a frightened boy crying for help, and a father who did nothing for years. His mind had buried the memory. Now, it came flooding back. Mrs. Adeyemi stood and walked toward an old safe hidden behind a bookshelf. Inside was a small cassette tape. I've hidden this for 20 years. They gathered around an old player. The tape crackled with static. Then voices emerged. Chief Adeyemi's voice. Undeniable. Nobody can know about the inheritance. Another voice followed. Mrs. Adeyemi, terrified. He's just a child. A long pause. A dead child can't inherit anything. The recording ended. Silence. Absolute silence. The evidence was undeniable. For 20 years, a murderer had lived among them. The next morning, Chief Adeyemi was scheduled to host one of the largest corporate celebrations in Lagos. Politicians would attend. Journalists would attend. Chief Adeyemi prepared for the event as if nothing had happened. Hundreds of guests filled a luxury hotel ballroom. Cameras flashed. Reporters moved through the crowd. Everything appeared perfect. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Silence. Then Daniel's voice. Hello, father. Chief Adeyemi froze. For the first time, genuine fear appeared in his eyes. Where are you? Close. Very close. The call ended. Seconds later, a photo appeared on his screen. Daniel, David, Amara, Mrs. Adeyemi, and the cassette tape. His hands began to shake. He immediately understood his secret was no longer safe. Across the city, Daniel lowered his phone. He looked at David, then Amara, then the evidence they had spent years uncovering. Years of lies, years of fear, years of pain. All leading to this moment. It's time. That evening, the ballroom glittered beneath enormous chandeliers. Chief Adeyemi stood on stage, smiling confidently. To everyone watching, he looked untouchable. Backstage, Daniel, David, and Amara waited. Mrs. Adeyemi stood beside them, silent
Once
and
we do
broken.
this, there's no going back.
There was never a way back. Let's end it.
On stage, Chief Adeyemi raised a glass to legacy and family. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The giant screen behind him came to life. Confused murmurs spread through the crowd. Then, the recording began. His own voice echoed through the ballroom. A dead child can't inherit anything. The room froze. Guests stared in disbelief. Adeyemi's smile vanished instantly. Turn that off. Security rushed forward. But before they could react, Daniel stepped onto the stage, microphone in hand. Leave it running. The crowd turned toward him. 20 years ago, a child was murdered. Gasps filled the room. Bones immediately began recording. His name was Michael Adeyemi. The ballroom fell silent. Chief Adeyemi tried to interrupt, but several police officers, already alerted in advance, moved closer to the stage. Daniel continued. He was not lost. He looked directly at his father. He was not missing. He was killed by the man standing beside me. Chaos exploded. Journalists surged forward. Guests shouted. Questions flew across the ballroom. For the first time, Chief Adeyemi lost control. You think anyone will believe you? He pointed at Daniel. You are nothing. Daniel stared at him for a long moment, then spoke quietly. You are not worthy to be called a father. Silence followed. Police officers moved in. Chief Adeyemi tried to push past them, tried to run. Someone stepped into his path. David, for the first time in his life, he stood against his father. It's over. Chief Adeyemi glared at him. You ungrateful boy. David's voice trembled. You killed my brother. Moments later, the police placed Chief Adeyemi under arrest. The empire he had spent decades building was collapsing in front of the entire world, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Daniel walked away from the crowd without looking back. Amara followed him. What now? He stopped. Slowly, he turned toward her. His face looked exhausted. Now, we disappear. Amara stared at him. After everything, Daniel gave a small, sad smile. There's one more thing I never told you. Amara's stomach tightened. What truth? Michael didn't die that day. Amara froze. What? He survived. Amara shook her head immediately. That's impossible. That's what I thought too. But I've spent months following clues, and every trail led to the same conclusion. Michael is alive. A long silence followed. Then suddenly, a phone began ringing. Amara looked down. Her phone. Unknown number. With trembling fingers, Amara accepted the call. Then a man's voice spoke. Hello, Amara. Who is it? She whispered. A soft chuckle came through the phone. Then the voice answered. Someone you've been looking for. The call ended. Amara lowered the phone slowly. The screen went dark. Her heart hammered inside her chest. Across the road, the black car's headlights switched on. The engine started. Neither Daniel nor Amara moved. The vehicle remained motionless for a few seconds, as if giving them time to understand. Then it pulled away, vanishing into the rain. Daniel watched it disappear. His jaw tightened. He knows. Knows what? Amara asked. That we found the truth. A cold feeling settled over her. But if Michael is alive, why didn't he come forward? Daniel didn't answer immediately because he wasn't sure. Maybe Michael had been hiding. Maybe he had been afraid. Or maybe the truth was far worse. What if Michael wasn't hiding from your father? Daniel looked at her, realization slowly appearing in his eyes. What if your father wasn't the one controlling everything? What if 20 years of pain, secrets, disappearances, warnings, and manipulation had all been part of a much larger plan? A plan designed by the boy everyone believed was dead. The rain continued falling. Somewhere in the darkness, far beyond the city lights, a man sat alone inside a moving car. One hand rested on the steering wheel. The other held an old photograph. 3 boys, 3 brothers, 1 secret. A faint smile appeared as he looked at the picture. Then he folded it carefully and slipped it into his pocket. The car disappeared into the night, and with it, the final answer. The truth had exposed a murderer, destroyed an empire, and reunited a broken family. Yet, one mystery remained unsolved. If Michael was alive, who had he become? And had the story truly ended? Or had it only just begun?